We're on. Anyway,
Well,
it's time to welcome everybody back to Reclaiming America.
it just goes.
I'm Bill Moore.
Oh, I'm Dan. Hi. How you doing?
Do I need to give you a cue card with your name on it?
The countdown so that I know.
And of course, we have King Henry.
King Henry.
That's the real
going on there,
purpose for
buddy?
the show, so everybody can see him.
Yeah.
And
Well, eventually we're gonna have Henry Cam. We're not
Henry
quite there.
Cam
Henry
yet.
Cam. We're gonna have Henry Cam.
ooh, that should be interesting.
So
That
we
might
just-
be a whole blooper rule on its own. Just his picture based on
His
what you and I
picture.
say.
Yeah. And actually, I have software that'll make his mouth move and it'll sound like he's the one talking. So be careful what you wish for, my friend, because I
Be
can do
care-
amazing things.
And
to
I'm
you.
guarantee it will not be anti-you.
Of course not. Henry and I are bros, right? Fist bump. Wait. Ready? Fist bump. There we go. All right.
And I get this
I have
end.
my dogs trained to give me fist bumps. So.
And I get this end. And I'm not
And
bumping.
ask for an ass. Our producer's over here in tears, laughing.
Yeah,
The
that's
audience is going, "What the hell are these two old guys talking about?" Old white guys, no less.
What's right?
Yeah. So
I
How
may
was
not
your,
identify as an old white guy today.
you are gonna
I
identify.
said I may not.
Well, you can identify as anything you wish,
See, I may identify as a 21-year-old white guy.
or a damp mop, and they have to.
Or a
own it.
damn mop. Where you want to go, you go wherever you want to go.
There was a guy. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a guy, Piers Morgan. That you know, I don't know if you're.
I know who he is.
Yeah, so he was doing this thing where he had a guest on that was one of the wokesters. You can identify as anything you want. So he goes, "All right, I'm going to identify as a black woman." And the wokester went apoplectic. "You can't do that." "Well, why can't I do that?" "You said I can identify as anything I want, and you have to honor it." But that's different. They,
Yeah, there's no
and there's
logic.
a whole thing behind. You can go find it. It's out on.
Isn't it California that has 96 options or something like that now?
Oh, up to 96.
The last thing I heard-
number I had was 57. But
it could, you might be. And that's the Heinz
I
variety
was gonna say,
operation.
maybe I'm thinking of the Heinz. It's so whatever.
But
it's-
you any kinds of mixtures you
don't
want
forget there's
nowadays.
the plushies too. You can identify as a cat, and they have to honor it.
I've heard those unfortunate stories
It's,
too.
I don't really care what people identify as. That's their business. Don't push it on me.
Someone said today we could solve a lot of the world's problems if we stopped, if we just started ignoring what goes on inside the pants or the skirts, and if we also stopped the word racist, just how things
I
would
get
change.
called a racist every day, Bill. Come on.
Well, I understand that. I've been called everything you want to be called, and then some. And you know what?
And the new one, my eyebrows.
You're
They're attacking my eyebrows now.
because
Well, if you can tell, I had some precancerous mold removed, which they had to freeze off and all. So it took my eyebrows with them. Well, people noticed that. So I'm a complete idiot and don't know what I'm talking about because I only have half my eyebrow.
well, if that matches half their brain, so it kind of works out well.
So they went from the bald head to half the eyebrow. I was called an albino this week, and I'm like, you realize you just slammed albinos. You insulted and attacked them.
But technically, they're white.
But it's just
That's okay.
hilarious how they can't see.
Technically, they're white. They're okay.
Yeah, they are, right.
That's the
Asian,
only group you can pick on is white males.
pretty much old white males. The younger ones somewhat are getting
They don't even know they're being picked on. There's a difference. You know, look at
that's
that.
a whole other podcast.
And that's part we'll do later when we discuss the 25-year-old with brains up his, who decided he wanted to share with his gamers. We'll get there later. I think maybe, first of all, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Have you possibly heard about what's going on with Bud Light?
Bud Light.
Really? Yeah, I
don't
heard that.
drink anymore, but back in the day,
Yeah, I
I
understand
was
that.
about a case a day of Bud Light.
And that was your left arm.
That was pretty much, yeah. Yeah, no, for real. From about 13 to 23, I was about a case of beer, and it was Bud Light. And Schaefer, remember that? You probably,
Pills.
that's going way back.
Yeah.
Schaefer. I mean, I haven't drank it in literally decades. But yeah, you might have heard about a little issue they're having.
Yeah, I think it's something about losing almost $5 to $6 billion in market share because of
Not market
stupidity.
share, value,
Stock share?
stock share.
Ooh, that's better.
That's, well, worse, but yeah, better.
Depends on which side you're on in that discussion.
Market share is, the last number I heard this morning was they're down 30% in sales.
I heard a 5.1 bill.
So,
So
it's-
that may balance.
yeah, it's so and the stock market, the Anheuser Busch, it's not Bud Light.
For those people who are watching it that just
We
woke
probably
up from a
should tell 'em what it
20-year
is.
sweet
Yeah.
sleep, why don't we tell them what we're talking about?
Well, I don't know what her title was. Let's call her the marketing director.
The vice president of marketing at some
Whatever she
level
was.
like that.
Came out roughly 3 weeks ago, give or take.
Thereabout.
2.5, 3 weeks ago, with a new campaign featuring a trans woman. Am I saying that right? Or trans man? Which way does it work?
She's a trans
It's a
woman.
guy that's becoming a woman.
That's a trans woman.
Okay, I can't even, which actually I don't care. If the person wants to be a trans woman, more power to him or her. But they decided to use this person who's an influencer.
And he's about a year into this process.
Right. To become their focal point of marketing, I guess is the word. So instead of the Clydesdales and the frogs and all the fun commercials they had, they decided to go this route because it was going to be more inclusive and diverse.
Yes, and they even put his/her picture on the can.
Yes, they did, along with some flags and some other stuff. And then done that to a certain point and been okay. But they not doubled down, tripled down. That we have to change our customer base. We have to get rid of the frat boys. Now, I don't know about you, Bill. I don't know how much you know about marketing. I know quite a bit because I own my own business, and your whole life is marketing if you own your own business. But the number one rule of marketing is don't lose your existing customers.
And add to base, not
You
subtract.
want to add to the base.
You don't want to
not
subtract.
from it. Well, when you tell your base,
Where to go and how to get there.
go F off, basically.
I like it my way. It's much cleaner.
Well,
You notice I was
I
clean
kept
on
it
this one?
family friendly. It tends not to work well.
Yeah, I understand some distributors have dropped their hookup with them, and a whole
Bars.
bunch of bars and a whole bunch of people.
So
They're not
there
touching it.
was- I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff because I've been following this with extreme interest because I find it absolutely hilarious. And I was telling Greta, our producer, when we first came in, this is the biggest blunder since New Coke, in my opinion. And for those of you who aren't old enough to know what New Coke was, back in 84, 85, 86, somewhere in there,
Has it been that long?
it's been that long.
God.
It had to be before 86 because my son wasn't born yet. But anyway, Coke decided to change their formula that they'd had for 100 plus years
Yep.
at that point to this god-awful concoction, which was basically, by the way, Pepsi.
Yeah.
That's really what it was.
And then they ended up having to come back with Classic Coke
And then they brought it back as Classic Coke. And
because no one was buying the new stuff.
they lost a lot of money.
But at least it wasn't political.
That was not political. That was just stupidity.
Yeah, that was just,
This is political stupidity.
yep.
So again, yeah, you're telling your existing customer base. Now, mind you, they were the number one brand
Yep. For
by
years.
a wide margin.
Isn't that a Swedish-owned firm now, though, if I remember correctly?
Anheuser-Busch?
Yeah. I know it's no longer here. I think the trace goes back to Sweden.
Maybe. I honestly don't know.
I will check that out while you talk.
Okay. You do that. Not bad. An old man who knows how to use technology.
I could just
Nothing.
signal.
He's just sitting there, huh? What? But anyway, getting back to the marketing. So they've started this campaign. And again, I think if they had done it on a low level, hey, I think they would have actually been fine with it. But no, they decided to make a huge issue out of it. And they just keep doubling down. And what's amazing, what I was hearing the last couple of days, is this marketing director did this without upper management knowing she was going to do this. I don't know if you heard that.
No, I didn't hear that at all.
So
She did this on her own?
on her own. That's
Well, at
now,
25, you already know
Let
everything.
me be clear. This is what they're saying. I have not seen anything to say absolutely it's true, but it makes total sense because what CEO in his right mind is going to, or CFO?
But wouldn't you have liked to have been a fly on the boardroom when they finally discovered what this genius
The
did?
boardroom probably doesn't exist anymore. They were throwing things through the wall. Now, what's interesting, and I want to get your take on it, is with this boycott that's going on, you and I were texting during the week, and I said, of all the things for people to choose, this is going to be their field of battle.
Yeah, this is what you're going to die
All
on.
the
Your
things that
petard.
are
This is the
out there.
petard you're going to throw yourself
This
on.
is the one. This is the hill we're going to die on. Beer. What does that say about America?
Because we're going to take away the average guy's drinking ability because we're going to change that. We're going to make Budweiser drunk by the elite. And that's been their problem all along. Every time they go after somebody, they don't realize the base that uses it.
Exactly.
And that's what's killing them every time they go to, because the elites don't use it. They don't drink beer.
Even if they did, they ain't drinking Bud Light.
And they ain't drinking enough of it to make a damn difference when you drop the other people.
Well, maybe Bill Clinton does, but other than him,
I think he does beer baths.
wasn't his brother the beer guy?
Billy.
Wasn't he a
Billy
beer-
was a distributor
That's why
of a lot of
that's why I'm
things.
thinking of that. But you're right, and that's an interesting point that you bring up, and you're 100% right. Is that again, we're talking about marketing from a marketing perspective. You want to keep your base and add to it. So sure, maybe you do want to add the elites, as you call them, but they're not going to be a huge slice of the thing. The elites are drinking, top level scotch and, what was it? Newsom got caught with during COVID, $3,000 bottles of wine at that restaurant.
Yes,
something
he was
like
he was
that.
suffering.
Yeah, he's not drinking Bud Light.
Yep.
And the
Not even
monumental-
Donald Trump is drinking Bud Light.
I don't think he drinks. I don't think.
See,
yeah.
I said he doesn't.
But they are going to blame him for this eventually. It's just a matter of time.
Oh yeah, everything is Trump's fault.
But what's interesting is anybody that criticizes this campaign, they're doubling down on you're a racist, you're a transphobe, and all that stuff.
You're everything.
Yeah.
Now, what people are not hearing because it's focused on Bud Light, but do you know how many other groups have hired him to be their spokesperson?
There's a few I've heard, but
Now I don't know a lot
I don't remember them
about
all.
purses to be straight up with you, but there's a group called Kate Spade, and I understand that's a
yeah,
very
there's
very
another
good.
one that starts with a V that was clothing.
Producer, do you know anything about Kate Spade purses or is that a good brand? I have no clue. Is it expensive elitist type thing?
Not too high up there, but
Like mid to upper level
somewhere
type.
below Coach and that sort of thing, but up there.
Coach? I don't even know what Coach is.
Oh,
You asked.
Coach is a big brand out there.
Yeah,
When you buy a Coach brand, you could probably certain Coach brands you could probably buy a used car instead.
If I were ever to buy a purse, it would be from Walmart, and I'm not buying a purse anytime.
Recently. But in addition to that, let's go into the fact that he's also selling to women bras and panties
That I had heard, yes.
from, was it Nike?
I'm not sure if it was Nike. I don't want to.
This same guy,
The
he's
same
got
guy,
another
yeah.
deal delivering,
well-
demonstrating and selling women's bras and panties too. He's got another deal to the same
But
deal.
at least that, Bill, I can make a connection there. It's.
Well, I don't know. The women seem to be pretty upset about that, including the fact that he ain't got nothing to cover.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. All right, at least somewhat, because he's wearing them. You can make a connection, so to speak.
Chris Plant this morning made another interesting comment about this because he also signed a deal where he's the spokesperson for Tampax.
That I had heard. I was going to.
And the question he had is, where is he putting them? And he does not want to know. That was his question on the air. So, and there's an image there that I cannot get away from all morning. So. Here's another ban. That's my fault. I'll take it.
Yep, strike 3 probably. Again, knowing marketing a little bit, I get where these marketing companies are coming from. They are looking at the influencers, and this guy, girl, whatever you want to call them, I know I'm gonna get in trouble for saying it, is an influencer with quite a following.
Yes, he does.
So there are instances where I can at least logically go, okay, I understand it. Purses would be one stretching.
But it's
Clothing
a-
articles I could see.
Yeah, except, when we're already in the middle of a battle over women's sport, for example, and men
Well,
intruding
that's-
there,
yeah.
this is just an extension of it.
But at least you can argue that, all right, I can see at least some point to it. I don't agree with it, but beer, especially lower middle class.
Don't
level
look for me to
beer,
clam up about this.
Good Lord, who is? Sit there and go, what were they?
But you know what's interesting? There was an article that was written about it, and what the left has done is they've developed this index that they're going to corporations with,
Yes.
and they're saying, if you meet this certain number, then we're not going to bother you because you're
they're
appropriately wokeness, if
Right,
for want
they're
of a better
threatening.
term. Yeah, and if you don't, you need to improve or we're coming back.
And these corporations, I mean, let's face it, Anheuser-Busch is a large corporation,
Yes, it is.
and they're cowering to these people.
They all are.
Nike, you mentioned earlier, cowers to these people. Look who didn't, Mr. My Pillow.
Yep. And he,
Said, F you. Had
And he-
record sales.
yes, he's doing real well.
He's doing
And he's
better.
opening up new lines of stuff
I
that
mean,
he's
he
selling.
got banned off of all the social
Yep.
medias. He's not allowed to advertise on almost every TV station at this point. I think probably he's still on Fox, maybe. I don't even know. I don't watch Fox, so but he had record sales last year and the year before. So
And he's advancing his line. He's gone from pillows to shoot to
he's got everything
slippers
now.
now,
He's got
to everything.
But, and there are other companies out there. I'm trying to think of one grocery company out of New York. Same thing. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. And boom, took off. It's on these corporations, and specifically the management of them, to say, no, we're not going to cower down. Because that slice of people is at most 20% of the population. I'd probably put it at around 10. Or where you would put it, but
I think that may be a little high.
okay. What number? Throw a number at me.
7, 8,
7,
maybe.
8. Let's say 8, just for the sake of argument. You're trying to win over 8% of the market by telling 92 cents.
If you're talking the trans market per se, you're
I'm
probably
talking about
talking
the
one
woke.
half of one
I'm talking about
1%.
the woke market.
All right, I would then maybe I'll play 10% with you. I'll give
In
you that one.
area.
I'll
But,
give
you
you
know,
that one.
Whether 7, 10, even if we went to 20. Let's say for 20, just for the sake of argument. You're going to say, we want the 20, you 80%.
Go to hell.
hell.
Yep, we kind of caught that one at the same
I
time.
don't know if you know math at all, but that don't work.
Yeah, that's the problem though. We don't teach fractions in school anymore, so they
don't
may not
teach
know.
anything in school except
Yeah.
wokeness.
Yeah, so we don't know.
But you look at that, and now it could work maybe with some brands, like maybe a high-end pocketbook. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like that Kate Spade, for which I knew
Yeah,
nothing about.
maybe-
But if they're high end, yes, it could
Maybe.
be effect because you could have the certain elitists who would buy that anyway, and they're going to run to it because it supports wokeness,
Right, it makes them look good. They're going to get their social.
and
credit
not
score.
enough of the average Joe or Joette, whatever the word we're going to use for that.
That's the problem. You don't even know what to say anymore.
Are they going to
anyone-
buy that? You know, that's a rare gift to give away.
I
A
mean, we've
Kate
made the
Spade.
word woman an offensive term now.
Yes, we have, and we can't even identify a woman.
And the scary part is, who's the one getting hurt by that?
You know, I have a question no one's answered yet. How come in the last hundreds of years, archaeologists have only dug up men and women? They've never found anything else.
Well, it's funny how this was that. You must have seen a conversation that was out on social media then, because this was a conversation.
I know.
on
I
social
was
media.
just
Yeah.
thinking about it. I was watching a History Channel, and they were doing some digging.
Maybe that's where they got it from too. They
Yeah.
were talking about when you go and dig up bodies and go to identify them, you can
Conclusively,
Yeah.
I'm having that same trouble today.
Conclusively state they were male or female based on bone structure, DNA, chromosomes, all that stuff. But now, that was all good for years. Now
Yep.
you can't do that anymore.
I don't know. I don't think they found anybody that fits those categories, but the two.
Well, that's the argument they're trying to make is, well, you don't know that that's the case.
Science is not
Yeah,
science.
It's just like you can't call them babies anymore. You have to call them babies.
Who? I haven't heard this one yet.
Oh, yes.
Babies?
Babies.
Babies.
Like they and bees.
Because we don't know what
Because
they're going to
They
be.
have not identified what gender they are yet. So it's offensive to refer to them as babies. So we have to eliminate the term babies and woman from our language because it's offensive, Bill.
And they're trying to eliminate the word mother, and I forget what
Mother's
the.
another one.
Birthing.
Birthing-
Birthing person, womb carrier.
Yeah, I've heard the womb carrier.
Now, I'm not a woman. I wouldn't even pretend to play one on TV, but I got to think as a woman, don't you find that offensive? Oh, she's railing over there. Look at how red she's getting.
Mm.
And yet, they don't go after the term men, do they?
Nope.
I have not. Have you? Have you heard anybody say we have to get rid of the term men? I have not heard one single instance of it. A little sexist there.
Oh, I think it narrows down to sperm donor.
Well, don't get me going on that. Because 20%, actually it's up to 30 now, of the sperm donors aren't the actual father. But we won't go there. That's a whole other ballgame.
I am being so good right now. They were just you got her going. She's actually looking at
I'm
it.
getting a dagger from her on that one.
Yeah, you're going to get in trouble.
What else is new?
Yeah, I understand, but
I live in trouble. Nothing makes me happier than pissing people off online and watch them come at me because I just laugh. Yeah, I mean, babies, women, you just sit there and go, why are we here? Where are we going from here?
and what bothers me more is when people are afraid to just say the truth. I mean, you get scientists in front of them, and suddenly, well, there may be some truth to it, or they don't want to comment on it.
Because they're afraid of getting canceled. I mean, you got to look at COVID, right? So literally hundreds, probably. I mean, I know of dozens, but hundreds of scientists who came out and said, "Hey, wait a minute. Let's say maybe the shot's not preventing you from getting it or transmitting it." They would get banned right off social media. I got banned for saying that. Talking, I know of one Harvard-educated, world-class immunologist, top 3 in the country, banned off of YouTube for saying exactly that.
And by the way, our person here who's representing Bud Light is Harvard educated and Wharton
You mean
School.
the market? I was going to say Henry.
No,
Henry's got more education than she does.
no, what I'm talking about
Maybe if she had been in class instead of at the frat parties that she wanted to get rid of.
with all those pictures
with
that
all
you
those pictures that are now online. That's hilarious too.
and they've been taking them down as best they can. But we know the
You know,
internet.
once
Once they're out there, they're out forever.
It never goes away.
Nope.
Because people don't realize this. By the way, if you're watching, pay attention to the next few seconds. There are websites
Pay attention to the whole damn show.
that archive websites.
Really?
So, absolutely. They're well known too. So let's say, Acme Widgets puts up an offensive post and then tries to take it down and scrub it. It's called scrubbing. Well, these websites have already got it.
And they've archived it somewhere.
They've archived it, and you can go find it. Elon Musk loves to use those. He puts them in his tweets all the time. Well, you're saying this, but here's what you said 5 years ago that you tried to get rid of. Smartest move.
No, and unfortunately, the kids of today, teenagers and above, don't realize that what they're saying and doing now is going to show up in an interview someplace 15 or 20 years from now. And it's going to cost you a job or something along
It's
that
already
line.
happening.
Yeah.
Right? They're not able to get into some schools. As woke as the schools are, they still have to worry about some of this stuff.
Oh, by the way, there was also a school in Houston this week, in Texas, maybe in Austin, university, that is having graduations by,
Race.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're having the
part of that.
Asian graduation.
Yeah.
They're having the African American graduation, LBGQT MOUSE graduation. They're all having.
There's another strike.
But I didn't notice them announcing the white.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, when
I didn't announce anything about the
are
white
they
group.
separating the white into male-female too? 'Cause
Don't even know, but they've had all those subcategories, different dates over the month of April, and I'm not talking about back to back. Some are 2 weeks apart.
Martin Luther King over in
Oh,
his grave. That man fought for decades
For inclusiveness.
for us to come together and be one and all that. If you go listen to his messages, that's all he talks about.
Right.
Judge a person by their character, not by the color of their skin. That's all been thrown right out the window now.
Yep.
And they don't even realize
And
it.
there's people now fighting to go back to segregated schools, and we're not talking about
Oh, I
white
know.
males who happen to be racist. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the leftist group saying we need to go to segregated schools.
No one is more racist than the, quotes, anti-racist.
Probably so.
Not probably, but with absolute certainty. I mean, they want to get rid of Abraham Lincoln now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, it's insanity. The problem is, let's kind of turn the coin over here a little bit. This boycott of Bud Light is having a significant effect, as we talked about. Market shares down, stock shares down. You've got people like Kid Rock, Travis, somebody or other country. I don't follow country music.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Some other guy, Rich something or other. I don't remember the names. I don't do country music. They are been quite vocal.
And they've dropped them from their tours.
And they've dropped them from tour sponsorship. They've dropped them. Some of them own restaurants and bars, and it's cascaded out. I mean, you can go on YouTube and see. You look it up. You'll see bar owners are posting, "We will no longer offer it." And of course, some of them people have come back to them. Well, you still have it in your bar. Well, yeah, they're going to finish the keg out, but they're not going to buy new.
Right.
I mean, that would be insanity. I'm sure some of them did dump the kegs, but my point and my question to you is this: do you think it will continue, the boycott?
Yeah,
You do.
I think until Bud Light eats some crow and does something to try to get back in the area, they're pretty well finished.
I think it'll blow over.
I don't. I'll tell you why. Because you've already got, and I'm going to use the term the common man, just for the regular people out
Us.
there.
You and
Yes,
me,
us.
basically. And this show.
And our
I was
learned
going to say.
executive
But
producer over there.
Our viewers too.
Right. All thousands of you. And we're getting closer and closer, by the way, to the 10,000 mark. So keep tuning in, because we have a surprise in the 10,000 mark.
You're going to get in trouble.
I always get in trouble. It works for me. But I don't think it's going to go away because they don't forget. And, these are the Trump supporters, too. They don't forget.
No, they don't. And it's interesting that you say that. I think it will fade a little bit. I don't think it'll completely go away. But I think, look at the NFL. 3 years ago, I'm never watching the NFL again because they went woke. Look at the ratings in the last year. They pretty much came back.
But now, if they take away this guy's pictures, they cancel his or her / contracts, whatever else, you can see someone eventually coming back and rebuilding part of the brand.
You're going to see the Clydesdales.
Oh, you can see all that.
You've never seen them
But
before.
but first of all, they've got to deal with the fact you've got this guy, and what are you doing with him?
Well, they're going to cut him at some point. I mean, right now they're hanging on because they're trying to
Save face,
plant their flag.
save face.
Save face. But the market will drive that. I just don't know that it'll hold up. I hope it does. But I look at things like the NFL, right? We're going to boycott the NFL. It lasted for, 2 years?
Okay, but several reasons I disagree with you.
Disagree away. I love it. It's better for ratings.
There was no alternative to the NFL.
That's the USFL.
Like I repeat, there was no alternative to the NFL. Secondly, Bud Light has a few competition groups out there. So there's a thing you can drink and not worry about Bud Light. And two, you've got an ever-increasing, can I use the word pissed off? If I can't, too bad.
That one you're good on.
Okay.
think.
Group of people who are not going to take it anymore.
Yeah,
I hate to say it that way. And they just keep building, and this is going to go. Now, will some of them fall off and go back? Absolutely. No group stays
Yeah, but
100%.
to what level? That's my point.
They're never going to build back that brand to where it was for Bud Light. They may bring it back, some of it, but they're not going to bring it back.
I think they will fall from the top spot if they aren't already.
I think they're out of the top
Although,
spot.
are they?
I think Miller's kind of moved in.
30% market share loss is a huge number.
Yeah.
But I don't know how far ahead they were. But Corona,
Miller Lite, you get the whole. Miller Lite's been pushing
I
heavy.
want to say Coors is number 2. I might.
Course could be,
Corona, whatever. They'll overtake.
because everyone remembers they have the purest water in the world coming into their drink.
Fixing to not have any water.
I was to say, out of the Colorado River that's disappearing by the minute.
Yeah, it's mountain water that's coming down to the
Okay.
Colorado River. You don't listen to their commercials well, I'm telling you.
I don't drink beer anymore. I don't drink at all. I think that this will have a short-term effect, serious one. And when I short-term, I'm talking 2 years. Long-term, they will recover a little bit.
But look at what you got going on now. You've taken on, and I'm not going to say women don't drink because they obviously do, but the main drinker of beer is still the majority being
I'm gonna
men.
step away from the camera because I do not want to get caught in what he's about to step in.
I'm not. I'm pointing out in general.
No, you were looking right at her.
No, I wasn't. I was looking at the camera.
The camera's over there, Bill.
Close enough for government work.
Oh, she's getting the.
I'm getting evil. We're in trouble.
You want me to go
But
pour myself a drink?
You
no,
might have
but
to.
the
I
point
might.
of the matter is, the majority of people drinking Bud Light are men, and that's the truth.
White men.
Probably so. Okay.
They really are.
I don't know the stats on that, but are men. Now, you then take what they've done and they push this guy into the woman's side of the house between, I think the thing that really set them off is the bras and panty suits. So they've got women really upset about that. And that just falls on top of women's sports, whatever else. The Kate Spade thing, minor.
Why are they attacking women so much?
They're not women. They can't identify as women anymore.
But for 50 years, give or take,
Look,
they were all about women's rights. Now it's literally let's get
giving
rid
the
of them.
Democrats credit where it was, Title IX was basically their push, and they got it through.
And
Give them
good
credit
for
where it
them
was.
for doing
I'm not
it.
arguing that.
Yeah.
But they've done more to undermine it in the last 2
What's
years.
my point? This is like the great change of the 60s, where Lyndon was like, if we do this, we'll have the black vote for the rest of our lives, which it worked. Give him credit.
Well, we'll go historically in that window when we discuss the fact that the Republicans blew that in the 1880s.
Well, a lot of things. They are masters at snatching victory from the
Snatching defeat from the
You
jaws
know
of
what I
victory.
meant, yeah.
Just thought I'd help out with that one.
But this country has lost its mind. That put yourself in the boardroom. You mentioned that. So you're Chairman Bill. I'm
CFO,
COO. I prefer that because it's
you're a coup, I believe that,
well,
but
yeah,
I'll go with
well,
that.
They're the ones that actually.
That's
run
because you're such a dove.
CEOs are the figureheads, kind of like my wife is the CEO of our company, but I'm the COO.
So you made me CEO and you made yourself this. Okay.
The COOs are the ones that actually run things. But anyway, picture that conversation. Gee, Bill, did you hear about what might have happened? Oh, by the way, your bonus, yeah, that's gone now because we just lost 30% market share. Oh, the stock price, yeah, that's tanked.
And you did hire that person.
And that was, well, let's get the head of HR in here.
Yep.
On the board, heads have got to roll on this. Not just hers. Who's above her? How does a CEO sit there and go, I had no idea this was coming, which is their claim right now.
It seems to me,
I don't care if you didn't.
historically in corporations, whenever they went to a new direction on advertising, they would run at least a prototype of it in front of the board and see if there's any objections. Then if they may take it further than that, understandable, then they may not know it, but they know the basics behind it. I mean, that's basic
when you
business.
pitch a marketing campaign, you sit in front of a bunch of people. It's not just the marketing team. I mean, that's the first step.
However, there could be something called stupidity. And I will give you an example from that when I take you back to the U.S. Army in the 70s and 80s when they did this great recruiting movies and they were absolutely terrific. Do you know what the background music was?
Yes,
The
I do.
theme from Shaft.
Yes, I was going to say.
And they played that, and nobody figured out what they were sending the message out on from just naivety, whatever you want to call it, or stupidity. Pick one. But that became the cultural joke of the decade.
And weren't you in the Army at that point?
Yeah. Probably so. I'll take the blame. It's
What was your
easier.
rank at that point?
I've always been rank. So, let's see, 70s.
Probably second Louis.
No. By then I was probably captain.
So you're high enough up to
Maybe
made a
pushing,
difference.
probably captain at
You
that
didn't-
point.
You didn't pick up the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and say,
Look.
hey, dude.
Look, this takes me back to and this is an offshoot again. We had a guy running around called Captain Seth who was making all these predictions for disaster. And when he looked in what's going on in North Carolina, and his claim to fame was, I was a captain on a 4-star general's staff. Well, let me explain. At the captain level on a 4-star general, you get coffee for the majors who
I was
get
gonna say, you're
coffee
the
for everybody
smudge on
else.
the bottom of
You
the
know,
shoe,
yeah.
aren't you?
He may walk by and say, I dropped it, pick it up. But that's about as contact you have with him. But he built on that, and he was making a small fortune. He came into Wilmington, for example, and held a meeting there, and he put a whole section up front where he labeled all the leadership of all the parties, and nobody was sitting there. So we had all our names on those sheets so he could show something with it. And then he charged literally hundreds of people $25 a head to hear him.
I out him. Maybe we need to do that. I think
Well,
25 ahead.
Let's go 25 a foot. We weigh twice the money. If we're trying to raise money, we do the big numbers.
Question on this whole scenario. Where do you think it goes politically?
Nowhere yet.
Why?
We're not
Why
far.
are we not
we're,
pouncing?
we're not far enough down on it yet,
You think so?
and we're not in power enough to do anything about it.
I mean, I've seen a couple of Republicans come out and talk about it. Crenshaw was one of them. I just think this is an opportunity.
Yeah, but the other side of that coin is, if you believe in capitalism, then you believe that it will fix itself. And if it doesn't and they go down, someone else will rise up and take their place.
The
So,
libertarian in me is going to say the correction will come from the market.
so
Absolutely, it will.
and the other reality is the Republicans are in no shape to do anything but hold a hearing, and they've already started those. So,
No, I ain't talking about that. Just get out and talk about it.
well, wait a minute. I'm going to give you an example of why it may be happening and we don't know about it. I did a press release 2 days ago on an issue with going on within the county, and I mailed it to all the radio stations. I mailed
they're
it to
not
all
gonna
the
do anything with it.
newspapers, and even to a supposed friend of mine who has his own show. And as of this morning, no one surfaced that
Oh, you're not
press
gonna-
release. So the point I'm making is they could be saying it, nobody's recording
Well,
it or
that's-
showing
But
it.
again, that's where social media comes in, right? So Crenshaw talked about it on his podcast or whatever he called it. It's not going to be on mainstream media. This whole I don't watch mainstream
But-
media. I don't believe it's
But
like
back
government
up,
knows it all.
the Democratic one was on them. That's how got me started to do mine. They ran the Democratic version of their answer to this.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're going to do.
Think?
But like you look at the local news, not a peep, not a peep. But they were running stories on Trump.
Oh yeah, well, Trump's at fault for all of this.
I mean, it's like they're never going to cover it. But what's different now versus even 10 years ago is mainstream media doesn't.
No, if you,
This
the
is
numbers
what
are
matters.
ridiculous.
This is
You know,
what matters.
There's a reality. I think I said a while ago. People like CNN actually have more employees than watchers,
They do. I mean, it's
and that's a reality. And CNN is probably there, and so is probably MSNBC or
they're even
MSLSD,
worse
whatever
than
they call it
CNN
now.
as far as viewership.
They're coming up.
They're what 300,000 viewers a night.
That's CNN.
Then they're 385. The next one up is about 385.
Yeah.
Okay, when you realize that, let's say Joe Rogan gets 14 million.
Talking about TV watching.
And by the
Right,
way,
but I'm
Joe,
saying,
be
as far
careful.
as-
We're coming.
Out in the public getting information, they're not getting it from mainstream media anymore. They've
No, they're
walked
not.
away from it. So the mindset of they're not covering it, who cares? Are you getting coverage from social media? Yes, you are. We talked about every podcast is talking about it. We're talking about it. This is going to run for weeks.
Yep.
Because people are watching it. You know, some of the podcasts that I watch that are political, a lot of them are center right, center left. This is all they're talking about. And we're talking, one I was watching, he had 700,000 views on one little short clip where he's basically doing exactly what we're talking about. That's more than CNN gets in 2 nights. Right?
Yeah, but you know something? We need to turn a little bit on this, because one of the things that we do this show for is because we give common sense solutions.
Right.
And we haven't given a solution to this mess yet.
My solution, if I were on the chairman of the board of Anheuser-Busch, would be kiss my ass, I'm gone because I'm going to get fired, so I don't care. I'm going to offer.
There are just choices right there that I'm not going to go with because of the cat being in the room.
What are their options?
My solution to this thing is that they fire him, they admit their mistake, they apologize to their
crow.
base, they eat crow, have a big slice of humble pie, and maybe they have to go out and market it by cutting the price again about this stuff for a few
I
months.
think Price will do it. I don't think Price will do it.
It's all part of a package. Not one thing works on its own.
I think they could offer free Bud Light for a while, and
Look,
the way the Venom's
If
coming
they get the apologies out there,
out, then it's a different
the
story.
American people, one thing they are generally a forgiving people. You know, they will give you a second chance unless you're on the left, but people on the right will tend to give you a second chance. You know, every time, and they're willing to say, "Yeah, I made a mistake.
Well, that's- yeah,
Forgive me,"
that's-
and move on.
That's why I think in time they will come back. Although maybe not to where they are.
Oh, I agree. They will be back. They just won't be to that level
They're not
again.
gonna be number one.
Not anytime soon.
But if I were trying to fix it, it's similar to what the first thing they need to do is stop doubling down, which is what they're doing. I don't know who the genius is. They're like, all right, we're in trouble.
Unfortunately-
Let's keep pounding on it.
We need to cut some people. You need sacrificial lambs. That woman, him, he, she has to go, whichever the word is.
Right.
Yeah, I said it. And
We are in so much trouble today. And you're gonna get me for this one. What did he do wrong though, or she do wrong? Nothing. She
No.
just did a commercial.
Look,
I mean, the venom should not be directed at he, her, whatever it is.
no,
I really don't think it should.
Dylan, I think
Dylan, whatever.
her first name is, or his
Dylan
his
is
for
the name,
whatever.
which I haven't figured out yet, but okay.
Well, I
Not
guess
trying
it
to
go
be
either way with it.
disrespectful, I just don't know.
But being a good entrepreneur, he took advantage of the
Absolutely,
situation,
nothing
which
wrong.
is not his fault.
No, not at all. And I
It is the
don't-
fault of these people who've decided that they're going to make him or her, I guess, for one, but that's what he considers himself, the image that they want to send out to the average people in this country
There was-
who are not ready to accept it.
I think I'll agree to disagree a little bit. I don't think the majority of people care if someone's trans
Oh, I agree with you.
at all. Do whatever you want. What they don't like is it being shoved down their throat. And
Absolutely.
that's what this is. That's why they're getting. It's not transphobia. It's not that they have something against Dylan. It's that they're trying to shove it down our throats. That's the backlash. And a lot of people can't even see that.
No, but if you go back years ago, I mean, remember when the first battle was for gay marriage?
In the late 80s, 90s.
Yeah, and the message was, all we want is the right to marry, and then we don't care. Everything's over then, we just need to get that done. Well, that didn't work out real well, did it? Here we are 40 years later, and we've taken that to the nth degree.
And if you talk to, like I have friends who are, as one says, I'm as gay as you can be. Because I was chatting with him last week. He is so mad about this.
Oh, I have to, and that's a great point. The majority of people who are gay, lesbian,
They
whichever,
are-
they don't want this to happen. They want to just live their everyday life, and like most people want, I don't care what you do in your bedroom. That's your issue. I just don't
Exactly.
need to see it.
We don't need to see it. We don't need to hear about it.
Right,
Do
exactly.
do whatever you want. I could care. But the gay community and the lesbian community is starting to really come out. Cut off at the LB or whatever it is. I can't remember what the order is.
MOUSC, remember?
LGBT? Is that it?
MOUSC.
Whatever. But, having talked with some of my friends who are gay, they are livid about this because, to their point, the point that was made is, look, we had to fight to be able to get married. We had to fight to be accepted. We got it.
And we got to blend into mainstream.
Yeah.
And now you're doing everything we can to pull us right out of where we want to be.
Basically separate us
Right.
from Main Street.
By that little box that the Democrats
Right.
like to put all of us in.
And, to their point, they're not valid with that. It's 100% a legitimate argument they're making is, look, we fought hard to be able to get married. And, you and I are old enough to remember that was a battle,
Yeah, it was.
but they got it, and deservedly so, in my opinion. But they couldn't, not they, but people who like to use this for political purposes couldn't stop there.
No.
Now we have to go, now it's about revenge.
But you have to understand, and this is something I've noticed about the far left, they're never happy people. They
We
always,
have to be miserable.
I hate to be one because they have to be miserable. And here's what's going on. As soon as they win this battle, they need another battle to stay miserable. So they cannot accept the glory of it and say, all right, we won, let's move on with the lives. Nope, there's got to be something else we can zero in on and fight about because that's the nature of the beast.
I think you're going to see a huge backlash coming from some of these groups. The gay lesbian groups, the female, the feminine, I don't know if the feminists will do it, but women in general, they're starting to backlash this.
I think you're going to see an alternative women's group coming out of this because,
I agree with you.
because the feminist group traditionally that's been out there is so silent. The silence is deafening.
Well, being one that does battle with them on a daily basis and lives for it, you're starting to see the fracturing of it, right? So again, feminism when it first started, and I feel confident saying you would agree with me, we wholeheartedly support it. There needed to be equality, all
Absolutely.
of that stuff. Up through roughly, I'm using rough times, mid 80s, that battle was basically won, right? Then it became, well, we got here, gave us an inch, let's get a mile. Now they're looking for an entire continent of miles. And unfortunately, what's happening is they've gone so far to the other side, now the term woman is offensive. And I'm sitting there thinking, where's Jane Fonda? Where's Gloria? How are they not screaming from the rafters? Wait a minute. You're telling me that I'm not a woman?
The other thing I'm starting to laugh at about what comes around and goes around, if you see the latest trends come out on some of the sites, we're now going back to the I'm wearing the braless route. They're starting to see it's coming back. It's starting to be
back.
phased in. You're seeing
Why?
people in that Gen Z group starting to post pictures. I'm not wearing one today, and blah blah blah. And
Again, I don't care what people do. I know.
Your show.
The armpit hair is coming back too. I've heard that one.
I haven't heard that one
I
yet.
have heard that one. That actually, there's pictures out on. They're like, because that's what the influencers will do. So that's the effect that someone like a Dylan has, right? They find a person. I'm trying to think of razor Gillette. Same thing, right? They find a person that has millions of followers on social media, and then that person says, "Well, I'm going to grow my armpit hair." Well, then all the Gen Zs and them, so and so's doing it, I'm going to do it. That's how they manipulate society.
That's a good point.
That's what's happening with that. I mean, I could care less if was it going braless. It doesn't matter to me. Now, they need to bring back '80s hair.
Well, this
That I would be all for.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe you need to go back to when they had the wigs. We'll be fine.
I have one. I'm going to wear it next week if I can remember to bring it.
Oh, this should be a
Oh,
show
you'll love
worth
it.
watching.
Oh, you'll love it.
I'll wear my cowboy hat.
And my flowing locks. I look good in it.
Oh, there's one vote.
It's got red
We'll see if
streaks
you can
in
get
it.
a majority.
It's got red streak in it. We can get a green streak. I looked. Oh, I'm not kidding. I will. If I remember it, remind me. Producer, text me on Thursday to dig it out and bring it. I'll wear it.
I don't know if I can wait 7 whole days for
Henry's
that.
hiding his face at the thought of seeing me like that.
He's giving you his opinion.
Anything else before we wrap this topic up?
I think we've about beaten this to the daylight, so we're going to go with it right now. So
I mean, our producer should be bringing us. The eyebrow.
I would wait. I would
See
wait
what
for
I
that
thought?
one.
I wish they could see that sometime.
That's why we need the button that we can change over.
The problem is she owns guns, I'm
Yeah, and
sure.
this may be her armory. That's a problem.
Problem.
Okay, that's her armory. I'll give you that
We'll
one.
go with that. All right, wrap it up.
All right, everybody. This is Reclaiming America. We'll see you again on our next episode. Enjoy.